Welcome to this episode of the Maximus Podcast. Your hosts, Joe Sabula and Bobby Maximus. And today our topic is how obesity is bullshit, how you're not a victim, how it has nothing to do with your genetics, and how you have complete control over your fitness, your health, your happiness, and your situation, if you will. Now, to back up a second, Joe, I want to tell you a story about my 52-year-old ex-wrestling coach.
Right.
He's lived off Snickers bars, lived off Coca-Cola, and I'm pretty sure he came out of the womb with 12-pack abs. Just to be clear, I know that person, and he's not the only person I know like this. We all know the person that can eat whatever they want, they don't work out, and they just have been given the genetic gift from whatever maker you believe in to make them look fit and be fit. We know people like that. On the other hand, we know people who eat well, sleep every night, work out every day, and still have to go the extra mile in terms of weighing, measuring, paying attention to get themselves to a certain level. In fact, if I was to look at me and you, we are very much on those two extremes. We live a very similar lifestyle. We live a very similar existence in terms of diet and sleep and stress. You have to work a lot harder than me to be leaner.
Yeah.
At the same token, I also have to work a lot harder than you to put on muscle. You bulk up really quick.
Yeah.
It is a nightmare for me to try and go in a mass gain phase and put on muscle. Okay, there are some genetic things at play. But where I say genetics are bullshit or obesity is bullshit, I have never met a person in my life who eats right, sleeps 8 hours a night, exercises and doesn't drink, that's obese.
Right.
I'll tell you that for sure, 100%. So when you have the person that's walking around at 300 pounds, 350 pounds, 400 pounds, that is 100% influenced by lifestyle choices and lifestyle decisions. If you want to go down the rabbit hole of you have a brain disorder or a mental illness that's forcing you to eat like that, I'm willing to have that conversation.
Yeah,
but
that's a whole nother level of conversation too. And there's a lot of nuance to that. But just simplify this whole thing. Think about twins. So you got twins who are, 99.9% genetically identical, but you take one twin and they don't drink, they don't smoke, they work out every day, they weigh and measure their food, like they do all the things, and the other one does absolutely nothing. And you expect me to believe that the genetics is the reason why they're identical, like they're both going to be identical. We know that they're not going to be.
No.
We know that. And it's like, the person who's trying is going to make progress. The person who's not trying is going to make progress in the opposite direction.
Yeah. And by the way, I want to bring something up about my wrestling coach who ate Snickers bars, drank Coke, partied, and looked like that. He also wrestled and worked out 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
So I purposely left that out at the start. But it's not like he also wasn't doing work.
Yeah.
Right? So there's some nuance here for sure. And are there, again, the genetic freaks, the snowflake, and I'm not talking about snowflake in a derogatory term for your political
the uniqueness, the
uniqueness, are there like the one fingerprint in the world that this doesn't factor into? The person that is really eating healthy that happens to be obese, the 1 in a billion, or the 1 in a billion that can eat like garbage and not work out and look a certain way. Are those people? Sure. But chances are that's not you.
Yeah.
Like for everyone to take that one person as the example and just then live their life like that, like that's a really dangerous way of thinking.
Well, I think it's a trap of just saying, well, that person eats whatever they want and they're shredded, and I eat the same way that they eat and I'm not, so it's never going to happen. So I'm just not going to try. Well, now again, you're making progress in the wrong direction. Like whatever your genetics are, whatever somebody else's genetics are, screw your own genetics. What other people are doing shouldn't apply. If you're obese, don't let it be for your lack of trying.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But we can't fall into that plan. The best example of that, you'll like this because you're a hard rock music guy. Just because Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses was able to function on drinking a gallon of vodka a day doesn't mean that like vodka is good for you.
It's the all vodka diet. This is how you're going to lose weight quickly.
Doesn't mean that you're going to drink that and then all of a sudden be a world famous musician. Like it just doesn't, that's not happening for you. So let's get rid of that thinking. But what I want people to realize is whatever your situation is right now, you can blame it on upbringing. You can blame it on genetics. You can blame it on your friends. You can blame it on I think it's, we have a predominantly male influence here, or a male audience, but it's become really in fashion to blame women for everything. Like somehow the hatred of women is like, it's an attack on masculinity. They're trying to take everything away from you. Everybody wants you to be. No, it's not about that, guys. And that's not the way. It's not your wife that's holding you down. It's not your girlfriend that's holding you down. It's not it's not the political people in power that are holding you down. Like, do you realize you are a 100% cause of whatever situation you find?
And that you have 100% control over what you do next.
Yes.
I had this conversation once with a client of mine, and he was saying he just wishes that we could just switch heads and that he could just ride around on my body, and then I could do the work to make his body in shape, and then we can switch back once his body's like all shredded and looking good. No, and I said that'd be a complete waste of time, because by the time I got my body back, it would be fat and lazy, and then when I gave you your body back, it would get obese within a couple of weeks anyway. It's like, if you're not willing to do the work, then you're not going to keep that result, and I don't want you destroying what I've built, right? So think of this. You remember the show Quantum Leap? I know there was a reboot of this, but the idea was that this guy would like jump into a person and like be that person in their life. So imagine, Bobby, if you like jumped into the body of somebody who had different genetics, who was overweight, but it was still you. It was still your mind, your drive, your desires. Think of how that person's previous experience and habits and training methodology would not even matter anymore, because now it's you driving the ship. And what would happen to that body with you at the helm? And then boom, you jump into another body, and now it's a completely different situation, but it's still you driving the ship. That body will change to match the mind that's within it. Am I right? So wherever you are today, forget it. Forget the past, forget the stuff that you can't control, and decide what you're going to do right now, today, moving forward, and drive that ship in the direction you want it to go. Don't let the past dictate your future. Let your present, let your current effort be the one that drives you. And that's how you break that. There's so much that you have control over. So like, you have to take that control.
No, I agree 100%. And again, it's 100% on you and what you're going to do. And right now, we live in a society where people are blinded. They're blinded by the glitz and glamour of Instagram. They're blinded by the glitz and glamour of TikTok. Their heads are filled with conspiracy theories. They're unable to Google or ascertain what's real and what's not real. Like every time I read something that I think is a little bit not right or controversial on Instagram, Joe, I go over to Google. I go over to Bing, if Bing's still a thing, or Yahoo. I do a little search, and you can quickly discover, oh no, this was a hoax. This was not a real picture. This was like a deep fake.
But see, again, that takes effort. That takes a desire for actually seeking the truth or finding that middle ground.
You're just going to believe it. So the big one that's going around now is this Dr. Fatima Cody Stanford. There's an interview that she did with 60 Minutes. It's actually a very long, nuanced interview on obesity. But there's a bunch of people that are splicing it together to make it look like she believes that exercise, sleep, and a proper diet are useless. That's not what she said at all.
No.
All she said was obesity is genetic because it may be a psychological disease. And if you treat the psychological disease, then you can influence people to make better decisions and blah, 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 blah. But again, it's nuance. It's not just as cut and dry as you're fat, lazy, and broke, or you're helpless to change his situation. But this is the world we live in. And what do you get left with? A bunch of disillusioned people out there that don't know what to do, that are frustrated because they don't know how to get fit and they don't know what's okay. But on the one hand, You got meatheads like us saying, eat more steak, eat more eggs, Cheerios are bad. And then on the other hand, you have a study that comes out that says Lucky Charms are actually better for you than ground beef. And it's a government-funded study. So you're kind of left wondering, like, what's the right thing to do? So let me break this down for you and end this podcast. You, the listener, are a responsible, grown-ass human. You know that you feel better off 8 hours sleep a night versus 5. So sleep more. It's that simple. It doesn't matter what your Whoop strap says. It doesn't matter what the Oura Ring score is. It doesn't matter about the study that you read that said, a human only needs 5 hours and 15 minutes of sleep. You know you feel better on more sleep. So sleep more.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of diet, I know the government study said that the Lucky Charms are good for you. I know that the dairy people funded a study that said chocolate milk was the ultimate recovery drink.
It hydrates better than water, they say.
I know that James Cameron came up with this whole movie called Game Changers or Game Smashers, or whatever it's called, filled with vegan propaganda. If you do a quick internet search, you can figure out that this dude's invested a bunch of his money into vegan food companies. Like, it's not hard for me to figure that out. By the way, you were supposed to eat food that's not processed. Look at the ingredient list on a Beyond Meat burger or an Impossible burger, and you will quickly figure out this is not something you should put in your damn mouth.
Yeah.
So let me make this really clear for you. Don't eat stuff from a package. If you can murder it or pluck it from a tree and eat it, it's probably okay.
Yeah.
If not, you're probably not making a great decision.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So in that case, a raspberry that you can pluck from a plant or a banana that you can pull off and eat it, it's probably better for you than a potato because you can't eat a potato raw. You're going to have to cook. Like, just go by. If I can eat this in its raw, natural state, it's probably good for me. If not, it's probably bad for me. That's as simple as it needs to be, Joe.
I'll even go you one further. Go out and get the food that you know you need. Don't just eat what you're being fed.
Yes. Like, go buy something. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. And this whole thing about, well, all they had was this. At work, all they have is vending machines. You're not allowed to bring a lunch. Is that against the company's regulations? Because, I mean, if you work for a company that doesn't allow you to bring your lunch to work, maybe you should get a new job. Like, it's just, here's what the problem is. So that's number 2. And then number 3, I know there are guys like us that are trying to sell you on the perfect workout program. I know there are guys like us that have figured out the magical split to get you ripped and shredded. I know there are guys like us that have, in the 2,000-year history of exercise, have finally discovered the secret that you need. I get it. I say guys like us because that's what people think when they're in our industry. But all you got to do is exercise for an hour a day. Like, I'd like to say our program is really smart. It is really well designed. I've seen it work with thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, and get an incredible result. But I'm also not going to sit here and tell you it is the magic bullet or it is the cure or it's the only program in the history of the world that works. Like, the reality is, if you go from a 2022 in which you didn't exercise once to just showing up at the gym and waving your arms around for an hour, you're going to be better. Like, I hate the simple fact of that. But, like, if you just show up to the gym, if you weren't going to the gym before and you're going to the gym now, I promise you, you will get better. You will get stronger. You will be leaner. There's a certain level you will attain. Will you be world class? Probably not.
No.
But you'll get somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. So, like, stop making your excuses. Stop listening to people on the internet. Oh, and another thing. When did these people who can barely handle exercising 3 days a week become fitness experts?
I was waiting for this question.
Right? It's like when this Jordan Peterson clown is telling me that I need to be a hard man and I need to ready myself for the war that's coming. And
who picks the gurus, man? Like, come on.
You can't even handle the simple task of keeping yourself in shape.
It's too much. It's too much. Sorry, but like the notion that hard work pays off, I can't wrap my mind around it.
Here's another one that you'll like as a quadruple black belt in sword fighting. It's a person that was a national Taekwondo competitor, me, a person that fought in the UFC. Why is the dude that's never thrown a punch in a real fight in his life telling me that every man needs to learn how to fight? Who's this?
These are the guys practicing karate in their basements, right?
You know what I'm talking about, though?
Yes.
Like, you can't even handle the simple task of keeping a gut off your belly.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't been to the range in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't ever thrown a punch in a real fight.
Yeah.
Like, you've never been in a street fight. Why are you telling me how to live my life as a man?
Why is anybody listening to these people? I can't figure it out.
That's what I don't get. You could
You're
be an
so
expert.
eager for a voice. You just there's somebody's out there that I can identify with. Oh, there's a guy. Pick him.
Or the other one that drives me nuts, and I'm going to pump my wife's tires for a minute. The person that has a degree but can only deadlift 200 pounds. The person who's done every exercise physiology thing in the world but can't figure out how to keep themselves fit. It was funny because you know what my wife's degree is? She can deadlift 500 fucking pounds. That's her degree. Like, well, whatever you want to tell me, or whatever little book you read about.
But wait, but make sure people understand. She's 123 pounds.
Yes.
She's tiny. So
So
500-pound deadlift. Like, I can learn a thing or two from her.
Your little ACE certification, or is it the CSCS that everybody wants?
Mm-hmm.
You can tell me about, and I'm probably not going to use the right term here, sarcoplasmic cell retention, hypertrophy wave period. You can fill my head with that shit all day. That's cool. But you have a gut that hangs over your belt, and somewhere somebody's warming up with your one rep max, and I actually know where that somewhere is. It's my wife in the garage or our gym.
I was going to say, I went to this training seminar years ago. I don't remember who the guy is that said it, but I remember writing on the board, knowledge minus action equals nothing.
Yeah.
So you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you're walking around like a big fat out of shape dude, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter what knowledge you have. You have no application.
So all we're asking is just be a little skeptical. Like the dude that's telling you how you should exercise, make sure they look like they're exercising. Because again, it's not that hard to be not Superman fit. Like that takes a thing. But it doesn't take that much to be relatively fit, right? Like it doesn't take that much work. So if you can't figure that out, I'm going to have an issue with what you're selling.
Yeah. And if you're promising magic pills, if you're promising miracles, get the hell out of here.
Like you're that person to me that says Christmas made you fat. No, it wasn't Christmas. Susan, Karen, Dave.
It's very specific. Gary.
Probably, I don't know what words we're allowed to call people, but this is probably more than Christmas. Like, I don't know. Like, I look at you, I don't know what damage you could do in a week that would derail your whole. Like, I just imagine you coming on the Zoom looking like Ben Stiller in Dodgeball.
I was going to say.
Oh,
what
happened
Chuck
to you?
Norris?
Like, well, what's going on? You're like, man, Christmas is rough this year. It doesn't. Happen.
Jesus, no shit.
Here's the deal, people. Just don't be an asshole. Eat some real food. Sleep 8 hours a night, maybe 7 if that's all you can get. Exercise every day. Don't make it complicated. Like maybe this weekend when you're watching, damn, there are some good games. We have Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes on one leg, who's still probably on one leg the second or third best quarterback in the league. And then right after that, we have Philly, we have San Fran. I get it. You're going to watch your 8 hours of football. Like you could do some push-ups during the commercial break.
Yeah.
Every time Joe Burrow hits a complete pass, maybe give me 3 push-ups. Like you could do, and by the way, he's going to complete a lot of passes. The man is good, but you could do something. I did a workout today on Men's Health Live, Joe. It was literally 10 bicep curls, 10 push-ups, 9 bicep curls, 9 push-ups, 8. Doesn't seem like much, but if you do that every day for a year, you'd have 18,000 push-ups and 18,000 bicep curls. Yeah. Meanwhile, you're crying how you can't start your workout program because the scientists at Harvard haven't made the ultimate workout program for you yet. You haven't done 5 push-ups in your life. Like it's not difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Follow some people, please. Before we go, please just follow some people that are actually doing the thing. Just follow some people that are actually like, not some pinhead with a gut and a suit.
Mm-hmm.
That's why are we listening to this dude?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's it, everybody. Keep it simple. Be smart. Maybe get off your ass and work a little bit. I know you don't want to hear that, but this should actually be an empowering message, not a beatdown message. It should be like, you are capable of doing whatever the hell you want to do.
Yeah, see the hope in this, right? Keep that indomitable spirit strong. Like, you guys, you got this. The bad news is you're responsible for where you are today, but the good news is you're responsible for where you go tomorrow. So step up.
And what's that thing you always tell me? I can't remember because you tell me a lot of stuff. You're one macro away from you're
one bite away from being back on good nutrition.
That's the one. So like, even if you have been a fat, lazy, out of shape slob for 5 years, you don't have to behave like that today.
Yeah.
You don't have to behave like that tomorrow. Like, you could flip the switch right now. You can go up to your cupboard or your pantry, take your fat little fingers. You could open the drawers. You can pull out all the Doritos and throw them in the garbage right now. Nothing's stopping you. And don't be the person that says, oh, well, I spent money on these and I should eat them before do you feel that way?
One of the best pieces of nutrition advice I ever got, there is no world shortage of pizza.
Yeah.
So you're eating a frozen pizza and there's one slice left, throw it out. You're full. You don't have to force feed it to yourself. There's no shortage of Doritos. If you throw away 6 bags of Doritos, the Doritos company doesn't even notice. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect the economy. You're fine.
You're good. The company that made Doritos, and actually, don't ask me why I know this, they made $98 billion last year. They're going to be just fine.
They're fine.
Throw them out and then have to go buy some more Doritos.
And hey, the money you wasted, that's your penalty. That's your penalty. And that's your motivation to not do it again.
It's because you're blaming it on everything else, Joe. We'll just chalk it up to inflation. All right. That's the Maximus Podcast. We'll see you guys real soon.